Hey everybody. So sorry that the email that I sent out this week did not contain this video. Way to go Zoom for, fucking up our plans. Okay, so what I really want to get into with this particular video is I want to talk about Tale of Two Brothers, and I want to talk about Genesis 1 through 4, and then I'm going to tell you about your assignment. There have been some questions that have rolled in about what to do, how to do it, what I'm looking for. So hopefully the video will help with that. I'm going to do my best to give you like time markers for, I can't tell you what times because it doesn't tell me what times, like what I'm going to do, so that if you go back on Thursday before you, write your short reflection essay and you say, oh, I just want to get to the part where she talks about that, then I can give you that moment. Does that make sense? I feel like I just babbled for no reason and none of it made sense. Anyway, I'll do my best. Okay. I really will try. What is this paper? Nothing. Okay. So how do I write backwards? So first, I guess we will talk about Genesis. You know what? I'm going to use a marker. So, nope, not that marker because that marker sucks. Use this marker, much better. So, and I'm spelling wrong because I can't do anything right today. Sorry. Ignore what I'm doing right now. I should have had this done, but I didn't. Okay, so anyway, hopefully you guys are finding it fairly easy to wade through, these first two readings. I know that they're not that difficult. It is going to get, harder considering that we're starting the Odyssey. But we'll see. I hope that it stays going somewhat easily for most of us, myself included. If you guys think that like I've read this and I don't read them, I do. The Odyssey, as I've said in one of my last videos, is 100% my favorite. It's the only book that ever drew me into loving English. So that's cool. Anyway, so with that being said, I'm still going to read it along with you guys. Don't think that you're alone in this. Just because I've read it more than once doesn't mean I'm not doing it with you. So just, I don't know, I guess sleep peacefully with that knowledge. Okay, so anyway, so we're going to talk first. I know this is backwards. I'm sorry. Genesis 1 through 4. Okay. So Christian, let the dogs in, please. Sorry. So can you let the dogs in? Oh, life is tough for a 5-year-old. Okay, so Genesis 1 through 3 essentially talks about how God created, he created the universe. I talked about this a little bit in one of the videos last week. Created the universe, and everything in it. Here's a tree, here's some water, here's a snake, screw the snake. Here's a mosquito, fuck the mosquito. I know I said that. Okay, and then the fall was that Eve ate the apple from the tree that he had said, God said, do not eat from this tree. You can do whatever you want to anything else, but do not eat from this particular tree or you will die. And the snake came down and told her, you're not going to die. You're just going to know everything like God does. And don't you want to be all knowing? And she was like, well, heck yeah. I mean, who wouldn't, right? So she ate the apple. God says, oh my God, I'm going to make childbirth very difficult, which like, I don't get, because being somebody who is 6 months pregnant, all of pregnancy, including childbirth, is awful. So like, I don't really get like you said childbirth. I have some bones to pick with you. You said childbirth. You didn't say like all 9 months. Just saying. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so he curses Adam for listening to Eve because she ate from the tree. But really, do we think that Adam should have been cursed or, punished? That's something to think about. Okay. If not, though, would we have the rest of the story? Probably not. So Then we go into Genesis 4, which, as we know, is about Cain and Abel. Probably one of the most famous stories from the Bible is of Cain and Abel. So Cain is born first, then the younger brother Abel arrives, and this is when we start to learn about this thing called jealousy. However, obviously the Bible doesn't say that's what this is, but we can sense that because we just can. We're, people. So Cain and Abel brought God an offering, and God favored Abel's offering, but did not like Cain's. And so Cain was very upset. He was hurt by this, that the same favoritism was not shown, which for any person is a normal feeling, that if you and your sister, you and your brother, you and, somebody you're close to, do very similar work and bring something, the same to someone else to show and to offer, a grade on a test, parts of a group project, I don't know. And one is looked at as, oh my God, that's so great, that's so excellent, good job. And the other one, which is of equal value, is looked at as, you did all right. Wouldn't that spark a little jealousy, a little hate? I know that we all would like to think that we are above such petty things. No, not me. I'm Petty Betty. Hello. Just kidding. I don't have siblings for this reason. Just kidding. Again, but I am aware that I can be petty in this type of nature. So, and I think that most people generally are as well. Anyway, so Cain says to Abel, hey, why don't we go out to that field and I don't know, let's go sow some seeds or something. And so they go, and Cain kills Abel. The Lord asks, where's Abel? And Cain's like, what am I, my brother's keeper? Which at this point, despite the fact that God is all seeing and all knowing and knows that he had killed Abel, it is in a sense, that sarcasm that has now come in. Cain represents a lot of different personality traits, jealousy, animosity, hate, in a sense, lust, because he longed or lusted to be what he was not, but he wanted to be like Abel. And so now he's mad that it's, not only did I not bring you something that you approved of, now you're looking for my brother and you're asking me, and I don't got time for that. So God tells him, I can't believe you did this. What have you done? You're going to, you know what, I'm cursing you to be a restless wanderer for the rest of your days. And Cain said, well, I can handle that because, having to live with Abel was 10 times worse than what you're telling me. He also claims, somebody that finds me is going to kill me for what I have done. But he said, no, because anybody that tries to kill you or does, kill you is going to suffer 7 times over. I think that that's just a repetition of numbers. It took God, 7 days, 6 days, and then a day of rest to create the earth, the universe. And so here we are, 7 days again. I lost my spot on my notes. So, he gives him the dark mark. Okay. Cain went out and tried to live. He had his wife, she became pregnant. They had a kid named Enoch. I could be saying that wrong. I don't know. And then that's essentially, that is how we progress with our population. There's some sisters in there. Adam and Eve decided, you know what, we've been mourning Abel enough, let's have another kid. And so they then produce Seth. That is the end of Genesis 4. The reproduction or production, I guess, of Seth is fairly irrelevant to Tale of Two Brothers. So it's there in Genesis, but it doesn't have a place for Tale of Two Brothers. So just know that. Okay, so now we're going to, look at me attempting to do this, okay? Tale of Two Brothers. So, my first time reading this, I was quite surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by it. Number one, I thought that it was short, which is always nice. The Odyssey, which is our next text, is significantly longer compared to this. This is only like 10, 12 pages. So definitely a jump. Anyway, Tale of Two Brothers. So the very beginning, we are given the names of the brothers, just like we are in Genesis. Okay, with 4, Genesis 4. Okay, so we're given Cain and Abel, and now in Tale of Two Brothers, we are given Anubis and Bata. Okay, so Anubis represents Cain, and Bata represents Abel, if we want to look at it that way. But anyway, I'll get into that later. Okay, so there is a sense of foreshadowing in that very first paragraph where it says, indeed, his younger brother was a perfect man. There was none like him in the entire land, for a God's virility was in him. Okay, this is not the first time that we're going to hear that in this story. Okay, so basically what Anubis and Bata do are farm. Okay, they farm the land, which is what Cain and Abel were supposed to be doing, and then Cain kind of messed that up by killing Abel. They have their daily routine, and for the first few paragraphs, it is fairly boring because it's about what they do during their day. Might as well read a Facebook post about somebody, I don't know, like, look, I ate lunch. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so they talk about this is what they do. Bata essentially is I'm going to call him the groundskeeper of Anubis's home. Now, they say that Anubis is basically a father to Bata. I believe that that mostly signifies age. Anubis is older than Bata, and because of that, it is his responsibility to care for Bata versus the parents themselves, who are nowhere to be seen in the story, except for the very beginning. Do not get confused by that. They are not father and son. They are brothers. You have to remember that this is Egyptian culture, which is going to be completely different from something that we're typically used to. So this would be like where you could do an outside source and look at what Egyptian culture was back in those times. Sorry, I'm talking too fast and I'm getting myself really out of breath, and being like super pregnant is not better for that. But anyway, I digress. So one day Anubis is like, Bata, I need you to go get some seed because we got to plant this stuff and we got to, we got to get this going. The soil's great for tilling. We got to get the seeds in the ground so that it can grow, and let's get a move on. So Bata says, okay, bro, I got you. I got your back, and goes back to the house, back to the stable to get the bag of seed, where he finds Anubis's wife. Okay, now the wife is braiding her hair, which, okay, what else is she gonna do, right? She's not gonna go do the physical labor. Her job, it would be child rearing and cooking and making sure the house is good. Like any stereotypical woman's role back in the day. So the woman, the wife of Anubis, comes on to Bata, and it's a little, a little forward, okay? That she says, let's see, where is it? There is great virility in you. So now this is the second time that we're hearing this, okay? For I have been observing your exertions daily. For it was her desire to know him through sexual intimacy. She got up, seized hold of him, and told him, come, let's spend for ourselves an hour sleeping together. Such will be to your advantage, for I will make you fine clothes. So it's kind of a quid pro quo. Okay, so she's saying, if you come and sleep with me, I will make you better clothes. But if you don't, then you get no clothes. So Bata is very, very hurt by this. He is, he feels very betrayed, and it puts him in an awkward position because that's his brother's wife. And for obvious reasons, he turns her down. However, I think that there are many a story where it would not have happened that way. I don't know, but this is the story that we're reading. So he says, Bata says to her, you're basically my mom, and that's like my dad. I could never betray him in such a manner that you want me to. And so in an angry uproar, he leaves and goes to continue on his work with his brother and doesn't say a word to his brother about what has now transpired between him and his sister-in-law. Which maybe, maybe we would all do the same. I don't know. Again, this is way back in the day, so we have no idea what's going on. Okay? So eventually, another day goes by. And Anubis comes home and notices that his wife is laying on the ground in a very dramatic fashion. Okay, she's making herself throw up. She made herself get sick. She didn't do any of her normal routine, which is like turning the lights on, getting the house ready for him to come home, starting supper. What else was it? Feigning to be sick. She did not prepare the lighting for his arrival. And she was laying there vomiting. So the husband, Anubis, says, "What has happened? Who did you fight with?" Which I don't know why that would signify a fight, but I mean, I don't know many people that throw up after fighting, but then again, each their own. So she says, "Your brother came on to me and wanted to sleep with me while you were in the field working your butt off. Can you believe it?" And so now Anubis is in an uproar and says, "Well, I'll kill him." So he goes to the stable and tries to sneak around, because this is the only way to sneak, and hides behind the door with his spear in his hand to kill his brother upon his brother's entry. The brother sees him, but is also told by his first two cows, okay, that, hey, your brother's laying in wait to kill you. And he heeds the cows' warnings. And so he runs, in which Anubis chases him. And he chases him, and he chases him, and suddenly there's a river between the two of them that just appears out of nowhere, and there's crocodiles in it, and shit now is about to get crazy, so put on your fucking helmets, okay? Turning the page. I like to do it as I go along to make sure I'm not crazy. Okay, so Bata prays to their god, okay, we're going to call her Pri, and says, I need my older brother to hear my side of it. He's coming after me, and he doesn't know my side of the story. He only knows what his wife told him, and he's not judging me fairly. So Pri says, okay, here's this river with some crocodiles. You guys are going to sleep this off, and then in the morning you're going to talk. Okay. Right? Right? Cool. So, where did I go? Here we go. Okay, as soon as the sun rises. So, when they wake up, they're arguing, but the younger brother finally gets to tell him his side of the story and says, no, it was not me that came on to her. It was her that came on to me. And it has been distorted for you as something otherwise, is what he says to Anubis. Okay, and then he tells him what had transpired between him and his wife. And he swears to this god we are to assume she is physically there observing this conversation. This is probably my favorite part because some writings just really surprise you. So Pri says, as for your coming, Bata says, by swearing to Pri, as for you, Anubis, coming to kill me unjustly, carrying your spear, it was on the account of a sexually exhausted slut. Now, I'm about to throw that into my book of insults because why not, right? It's written down somewhere, so obviously it's legitimate. And he says, after that, he goes, he then fetched a reed knife and cut off his phallus and threw it into the water. Great timing for my kid to show up, right? You want to paint? Or do you want to watch your show? What? What?
I turned my show off.
Okay. Do you want me to turn the music off? Sorry, guys. Do you want me to turn the music off? We've been listening to the kids' dance party on iHeartRadio. Great times. Okay, we got to listen to Who Let the Dogs Out.
Kids dance.
That was the name of the radio station. Pick one of your pictures. Okay, so what this means, you have to pick one of those. is that he quite literally cut his penis off, okay, and then threw it in the river for the crocodiles, sorry, to eat. Now, this is where it goes from being a somewhat mortal story, being, you know, that you're alive and breathing. Can I have the plate? And that you're not a god, okay? So when I say mortal, I mean that you are flesh and bone. You can die. You are not a god. Somehow, this does not kill him, okay? This fact. I mean, it didn't kill Lorena Bobbitt's, you know, husband, but I don't even know if you guys know who that is. Look her up.
I want red, blue,
well, I got
purple,
it's. You want red, blue, and purple,
and green.
and green. Okay.
Princess, the Christmas.
You got it, dude.
Why not call them Christmas Queen?
I don't know.
That red?
That was red. Okay, so instead of dying, Bata ends up being able to go to the Valley of the Pine. And he ends up being essentially just fine, which is kind of freaky. So now at this point, we can take in what they were saying about that virility of a god about him, okay? And we can apply that to him, because this is not something that a mere mortal would be able to survive. You know, regardless of if you can survive, what, you wanted this color?
I want to squeeze.
I'd prefer if you didn't.
Squeeze.
No.
No.
Because look, it's very watery. Here, okay? Here's your colors, and here's your picture. Okay, I apologize again. So he doesn't die from blood loss. He doesn't die by getting eaten by like a wild animal. Okay, those are things that a mortal would probably suffer from, because that smell of blood would attract, would it not? So anyway, that's neither here nor there. He makes it to the Valley of the Pine, and he's fine, okay? But before he leaves for the Valley of the Pine, he tells Anubis, because remember, there's still that water with crocodiles, that river of crocodiles between them. So they can't embrace, they can't hug, he can't apologize. Yep. And he says, can't you recall a kindness on something I have done on your behalf? So kind of, you know, making him feel guilty for what he was about to do, which he probably should. I mean, Anubis was about to kill Bata, so Bata should make him feel bad. He says, if you find out that something has happened to me, when I extract my heart and put it on top of the flower of the pine tree. So now he's not only having cut off his penis, he's now cutting out his heart, Temple of Doom style. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen that Indiana Jones, but that's probably the best one. So you should totally see it. And he's going to put it on the top of this tree, resting upon like a flower. So I liked to think of kind of a palm tree. I don't know why, or like a coconut tree. That's just what came in my head when I was reading it. Jesus, girls. So, weirdos. He then says, you know, if the pine tree is cut down, and he is now alluding to his own becoming, kind of. Okay, so he's foreshadowing, he's predicting, but we don't know that yet until we get there. Okay, if the pine tree is cut down and my heart falls to the ground, you are to come search for it. But you'll only know that this has happened if you are delivered a, you know, like a pint of beer and there's froth on it, which any good beer drinker knows that you want a good head on that beer. You don't want too much, but like enough, maybe like an inch worth, okay? It's so messed up for me to say that to you guys. Anyway, okay, so when this beer is given to him and it has foam, he would then know, he, Anubis, would know that he has to go search for Bata's heart and put it in this, you know, a bowl, a glass, something of cool water to bring him back to life. Okay, so that's that. Now the brothers part ways, and Anubis goes home and kills his wife, and then feeds her body to the dogs. Just when you thought it couldn't get weirder, right? So, and he doesn't feel bad about this. So anyway, Bata then is, he goes to the Valley of the Pine. He has his, I don't know what you want to call it, but he creates a house. He creates a life for himself away from his brother, and now he's no longer living under his brother's shadow. Okay. I'm trying not to relate it too much. Wow. Why don't you paint the other one to Cain and Abel? But so I say those things in my head and then I move on. So now the Aeneid, okay, the many, put that one over on that table to dry. There you go. And then you can take this one. Okay, so the Aeneid, which is multiple gods, see Bata and what he's doing and how he's living, and they say, you know what, he really has gone through a lot. We should make him a companion. We should create a wife for him. And so they do that. They create a wife, and it says, she was more beautiful in her body than any woman in the entire land, for the seed of every god was in her. Okay, so now each one of the gods, there's 7 of them that they're in this story, is in this woman that they made. So now we have 2 people with the virility of God. Okay, and then says it is by an execution knife. Okay, execution knife, that she will die. So now they say the only way that she really can die is if somebody stabs her. Okay, so Bata loves her. He loves on her. He is in love with her, and he tells her everything. He tells her his deepest, darkest secrets. He says, yep. He says, look, I'm a female, and he's really more saying that he was castrated. Yes, the girl with the purple hair. And from that, she's kind of like, cool. However, he also then, at this point when he's telling her everything, he says, my heart's on top of that tree. I don't have a heart. Kind of weird. But anyway, I don't know how that's not a deal breaker, but so be it. So, he also tells her, okay, not just his deepest, darkest secrets, but now he decides to foreshadow again a little bit. What, baby? You made the whole thing blue. Well, what about the other colors? Where is it? Don't go outside, lest the sea carry you away. For I will be unable to rescue you from it, because I am a female like you, and my heart lies on top of the flower of the pine tree. God, this needs to go away. But if another finds it, I will fight him. Then he revealed to her all his inmost thoughts. Okay, so now we're kind of told already that somehow she is going to be taken away. And so it happens. The sea comes and plucks hair from her and puts it on the clothing of the Pharaoh. What? And the Pharaoh is like, what is this smell? What is this smell? I can't get it out of my head. Somebody find out what it is. Why isn't my launderer like taking care of this? I can't, you've got to get rid of this scent. It's driving me insane. Okay, so the launderer finds out that it was the sea that carried the scent to him. So they realize, oh shit, you know what? This is on purpose. So he then says, the Pharaoh says, we need to find this woman. And he sends everybody out to every country. And then a specific little, squad to the Valley of the Pine to find this woman. And so they do. However, only one returns from the Valley of the Pine, whereas everybody returned from every other place they were sent. And the sole survivor that came from the Valley of the Pine says, the guy killed everybody that tried to take her. So the Pharaoh says, okay, I'm going to send more men and I'm going to send a woman. Okay. They end up being successful. They are able to take the wife. Okay. What? Oh, okay. He's showing you Optimus Prime. Anyway, so as she is now presented to the Pharaoh, she says to the Pharaoh, you need to go back to the Valley of the Pine and chop down the pine tree. because she knows that this is the only way to kill Bata. Okay, but because she also is made of every god, she wants to be in power because gods are naturally in power. So why wouldn't she want to be married to the pharaoh? So they go back to the Valley of the Pine. They cut the tree down. His heart comes down, and therefore Bata dies. Okay? Then all of a sudden Anubis is presented with a beaker of beer. There is froth, and he's like, oh shit. Just waiting for him to repeat what I say. And at that point he says, well, I got to get my stuff. He gets his clothes, he gets his spear, whatever else he needs, and he heads out to the Valley of the Pine to avenge his brother's death, because now he knows that his brother is dead. Okay, so that's cool. He spends 4 years searching for Bata's heart. He can't find it. Can't find it anywhere. He can't find the pine tree because the pine tree is cut down. Okay, so then all of a sudden on his last day that he was like, this is it, I'm giving it my last all, he finds a pine cone. And he's like, well, this looks good enough. Brings it home. It ends up being Bata's heart because over 4 years being outside in like Egyptian sun, I would imagine it shriveled up quite a bit. So he puts it in a bowl of cold water, or cool water, I should say. And Bata comes back alive. This is fantastic. I know. Excellent, right? And excuse me. So Bata says, I'm going to turn myself into a bull and you're going to ride on my back and we're going to go get my wife. And so Anubis is like, I got you. I am behind you because yes. So he rides on the bull's back. They go to Egypt, to the pharaoh. And in the kitchen one day is random bull, aka Bata, and his ex-wife. And he says to her, I am Bata. I am not a bull. I am your husband. And she's like, oh crap. So she gets the pharaoh nice and drunk and says to him, I need you to listen to what I'm going to say. And I think that we need to sacrifice that bull. And he's like, yeah, it's a great idea. So next day they kill the bull. But when they do that, they spill 2 drops of blood outside of the pharaoh's palace. Okay. And from that blood sprout trees. Well, the wife, the pharaoh's now wife, is sitting outside and the tree whispers to her, I am not dead. I am right here. I am the tree. Okay, so now Bata is now a tree. So she gets the pharaoh nice and drunk and says to him, you know what? We really need to cut down those trees. And he's like, absolutely, let's make new furniture. Weird. Now, as if things weren't odd enough in this story, as the, what did he call them? I'm going to call them carpenters because I suddenly don't know what to call them. Oh my God, where is it? Craftsmen. That's what they call them. Craftsmen. Okay. So as the craftsmen are now cutting down these trees, a small piece splinters off and lands in the pharaoh's wife's mouth. She instantly becomes pregnant. Okay. She instantly becomes pregnant. Just think about that. That to the point that she is showing. Okay. It's not like she's like in that first trimester where you don't even see a belly. It's you're pregnant. You didn't eat too many tacos. You are actually pregnant. Okay. And a few days later, she births a son, which is great. But now that son is Bata. Okay. Because that splinter, remember that tree was him. So that splinter was also him. And when it landed in her mouth, it impregnated her with him. Weird shit, right? I know. Anyway. So everybody's excited because now there's a prince. This is great news. There's, so we can carry on the line of excellence with the next pharaoh. So after completing, his reign as pharaoh, the regular pharaoh, not Bata pharaoh. Okay. The pharaoh dies. It actually says he flew up to the sky. So that really just means he went to heaven. He died. Okay. And the new king is Bata. He has his wife brought to him and a consensus was then reached. Okay. Because then he told everyone of the heinous crimes that she committed to keep him dead. that she was married to someone else and the Pharaoh stole her from that marriage. And so the court has her killed, stabbed with a knife. Okay, and then kind of odd, the older brother Anubis is brought in and made crown prince. Okay, now I find that part particularly odd only because we don't really know how much older Anubis is from Bata. So if we were to assume, let's just say 5 years, but now Bata has been reborn. So Bata is like 20 and Anubis is like 50 or 60 at least. I mean, that's the assumption, and then it just kind of ends and said everything is happy. Okay, so that's cool, right? I know. That's the story of Tale of Two Brothers. Okay, so now we're going to discuss the two readings. Okay, so we have the similarities, which are gods, things that happen outside of human control. For instance, becoming a bull or a tree or suddenly impregnating someone. Does that sound familiar? Okay. Something that I thought of when I was reading the story, besides the many moments of foreshadowing, is Bata is Abel and Anubis represents Cain. Okay, Anubis represents Cain because he is going to kill his brother. He is going to be a kinslayer. Yes. Okay, he's going to kill his brother. However, that's where it gets a little different because he ends up not doing it. Bata, because he is so similar to Abel in the lightheartedness, kind of, kind-hearted as well. They just embody the similar traits like that. Okay, I know that made no sense because I don't know. However, we move over to the wife. Okay, the wife represents both wives, I should say. Anubis's wife and then Bata's wife, who is then the Pharaoh's wife, represent the snake. Okay, the temptation, the evil, the apple. Okay, they represent things that are bad. So if the first wife, if Anubis's wife had never tempted Bata, then we wouldn't have this story. If Eve never ate that apple that was given or provided or pointed to by the snake, we wouldn't have that story. Okay? So think about it that way. Now, something else that struck me as kind of odd was Anubis's wife claims to be afraid. Okay, she says, where is it? The wife of the elder brother was fearful on account of the proposition which she had made. Why should she be scared? What? You want it to be a plane? Okay. Why would she be afraid? And what would she be afraid of? Does she have a reason to be afraid? Or no? Transform. Hold on. There you go, dude. Okay. So what is it that she's fearful of? Why is she afraid? What is making her afraid? Does she have that right? Or no? She was the one that came onto Bata, not the other way around. So why be afraid then? Okay. Let's think of the next part. Is this a story of, this is how Cain and Abel's story could have gone? Okay. Is this a coulda, woulda situation? We are to assume that this story happens after the Bible is produced. Okay. Not entirely sure because we can't really give the Bible a date and we can't really give this a date. Why is my husband texting me? I don't like when he texts me. So these are things to think about. Oh, I'm stupid. It's, why are we making almost like a parody? Why are we attempting to continue a story that has already been, for the most part, set in stone? And then, of course, what is the importance or significance of Bata saying to his wife that I am female like you? Is at this point he trying to say, emotionally I am like you, despite the fact that I am without a penis? Or what is he trying to get at with that particular wording? There is more to it than simply, I don't have a penis. Okay? So think more in depth with that. What else did I say? Why don't we give any, thought or excitement to the fact that Anubis kills his wife and feeds her to the dogs? This is in Game of Thrones. Like, why don't we give that any entertainment? But we are going to go after Bata for potentially trying to sleep with Anubis's wife, but then nothing happens. Okay, so there's that contrast as well that we can talk about. Okay, and then of course the kind of odder parts of the story of how he's a bull, then becomes the trees, then becomes the baby. Okay, so we're going through this type of metamorphosis almost in what we're becoming from what we were. But again, this goes back to that virility that he has as a god, or one that is like a god. Okay, so is Bata a god? Is Bata not a god? Why, the 4 years that Anubis spends wandering, looking for his heart is very similar to the punishment that Cain was given by God to have to wander the earth aimlessly. Okay, so those are some similarities. However, there are a lot of differences, and I know you guys can point them out because you're not dumb. Okay, so that gets to, look at me go, the assignment. Okay, I'm sorry that this is backwards. I'll figure my shit out at some point. Okay, so the assignment itself is, not that, hold on. I gotta pull it up real fast. You are doing a short reflection essay. Now, I know on the rubric it says not to include your opinion. Forget that part, okay? Go ahead and include your opinion. I just don't want it to be completely opinion laden, okay? If you are going to state your opinion, you need to back it up with facts from the text, okay? So if you say, I see Cain as, I see Anubis as a representation of Cain throughout the story, because X, Y, and Z, include your citation, okay? Because at that point, you're paraphrasing, all right? Again, it's gonna be 2 to 4 pages. Let's just do this real fast. I'm gonna share my screen. Once I figure out where it is, there it is. Okay, so here it is. Here's the essay, the rubric, okay? Again, it is 2 to 4 pages, double spaced, Times New Roman, size 12 font, 1-inch margins, proper heading and header, okay? I can do that real fast too, if you need me to. Okay, so 2 full pages, please, top to bottom, whole thing. All right, so I want you to be able to introduce. Your focus is there. You're not rambling off on, tangents. You have support, AKA you're citing the text. And then your conclusion, okay? And then, of course, your writing mechanics and citations, okay? So what relationship do these stories have? What are their commonalities? What are their differences? Are we thinking of any other historical references? So, for example, when Bata splinters off from the tree and impregnates his wife, that is essentially Immaculate Conception, and that's what happened to the Virgin Mary. So it's very similar. There's a lot of parallels between biblical stories and this particular story, but it seems that this story, Tale of Two Brothers, is a smorgasbord of biblical stories. Okay, so maybe what biblical stories do you see in Tale of Two Brothers? I was going to say Tale of Two Cities. Okay, so you can talk about that. So essentially, I want you to, obviously you're reading Genesis 1 through 4, then you're reading Tale of Two Brothers, and now I want you to kind of react to them. Okay, what similarities did you find? What differences did you find? What was surprising? What is something that maybe stuck out to you? What are the themes of both stories besides maybe familial relationships? Okay, is there something else? I think that's about it on the assignment part. please remember, if you are doing on Microsoft Word, okay, let me do it real fast. This is your heading, your name, my name, the date, and the assignment. Okay, the date you could also put, you can put either or, it's kind of interchangeable. You can put English 207, so I don't care. And then remember, you're gonna have your heading. Okay, so if you're using Microsoft Word, just double click up here, it'll show up, and then you have up here, okay, you'll put page number, top of page. You wanna make sure it's all the way over to the right. And then you're gonna put your last name in front of it, okay? So not my last name, your last name. And there it is. And yes, your header also, or your heading rather, sorry, also gets double spaced, okay? Simple, 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 simple. Do not enter 15 times, please. If you feel like giving your assignment a title, okay, you enter once, you center it, you put title, then you enter again, you put it to the left margin, and then you start to write. But of course, because you know better, you tab one time. I know it seems rudimentary to have to go over this, but occasionally we have people that forget. Okay, so each paragraph, the start of a new paragraph, should be indented. All right, Google Docs is a little different. You have to go to insert and then you have to go to page number. And again, if you are doing your assignment on Google Docs, you have to save it as a Microsoft doc to be able to upload to Moodle. Okay, so let's stop the share real fast. And then that's not what I want. We are going to go really, really quickly. I'm sorry, I'm taking up this time. This has been like the longest thing I've ever done. You are uploading these to Moodle. I am attempting right now to find where that is. Okay, let's go to 207. It is right here, short reflection essay number 1. All right, so I'm going to switch my role to student so that we can do this as if I were you. Okay, so you're going to click on short reflection essay number 1. Your internet will work faster than mine. All right, and right here is where you submit your paper, this little cloud. Okay, you hit submit. You can upload it. You cannot, for Turnitin, you cannot type it in. It is not like a regular assignment. Okay, so you have to type it up on either Microsoft or on Google Docs, save it, and then upload it here. You'll hit add submission, and then it will show up right here. Okay, all right, so just for those of you that haven't used it before, okay, I think that's it. Again, I apologize for the lengthiness of this. I don't know. Hopefully, if you guys have questions, just ask. Sorry. I'll try to make it shorter next time. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys.